Let me talk about what is happening in innovation as far as digital business are concerned. I do know the entrepreneurs here today, for instance, have moved beyond just digital businesses. But correct me if I'm wrong, and I want to open this up to the entire panel because I'm sure there are going to be different viewpoints. Most innovation today seems to be restricted, at least in India, as far as digital business are concerned, as far as what's happening in the online space. How does a country like India, which clearly needs innovation beyond just what's happening in the digital arena, ensure that innovation is happening in these areas? How do we have, for for example, more smart shifts? How do we have more green souls? How do we have more, green max solars? How do we have more companies like Sports Consult? How does that happen?
Thanks, Sunanda. And this is something that I think all of us trying to start brick and mortar businesses have always felt, that why is only Snapdeal, Flipkart, why are these the companies? And I think the big reason there is the way venture capital seems to work in India, which is largely Silicon Valley firms or Silicon Valley inspired firms chasing models they understand in the digital space and trying to replicate them here. Which is why a solar company or a company that deals with logistics isn't well understood by capital, doesn't seem like a 2-year, 3-year story, and therefore not good enough for investors. And on the flip side, there's also the sense that the same venture capital may be ruining even the digital innovation at times by being too aggressive, by wanting to show returns and supporting business models that aren't tested in India and not necessarily context specific. So I think a lot of it comes from where the money is, and if the money is chasing only certain business models, that's got to change first. That's what will help entrepreneurs in other spaces really thrive and start business.
Since we're talking about innovation specific to India, innovation which is more grassroots led, I want to talk about how closely Indian innovators, the Indian market, the Indian ecosystem should be looking at what's happening globally.
I mean, knowledge is power, right? You always want to know what First Solar is doing in the US, so at the very least you can learn from their mistakes, learn from how they went from point A to B in 5 years and do that in 2 years. But I think a lot of us in India do stretch that a bit too far. We say, well, let's do exactly the same thing. Let's try and replicate a model that's been terribly successful. But for various reasons that doesn't work in India. One is our business ecosystems aren't quite as streamlined, aren't quite as smooth as many in the West. So when I set up a business in India, there's a lot of maneuvering to be done to get it from point A to point B. So I think it's great to know and great to learn, but you shouldn't be replicating it. I think a lot of people have failed to recognize that so far. With all due respect to everyone.
Just my question to this panel here is, tell me something, what is the level of skill development done in this country after Modi Sarkar has taken over?
5-6 years ago when we started Clean Max Solar, one thing which we found was that once you actually won projects and created the business model, financed it, there weren't too many people who could put up those solar plants, right? Technicians who didn't know how you put together the panels, the inverters, whatever's needed to run what is otherwise not terribly complicated technology. 6 years in, and I don't know how much of that is Modi Sarkar or just the evolution of an industry in the country, that has changed dramatically. I also know it's part of the curriculum, the various ITIs to run solar plants, DC electrical technology, which was never studied earlier, is now very much. So things are changing, whether it's terribly fast, whether it's innovative, whether it's because of government, it's hard to say.